Hello everyone! Welcome to our second box and welcome to our SVOB Facebook page. We're so happy to see you guys here again. We have a great lineup just for you guys, so stay tuned, okay? Now, so today we have, let me introduce myself first. Today we have me again. I am Yating, a science center from the Science Center, and I'm a science educator. And together with me, we have Octave on top of me. Say hi, Octave.
Hello.
Just above me. And then we have Maybao on my left.
Hello.
Yes. Okay, so Octave will be answering some questions that is related to physics, and Maybao is going to answer questions related to life sciences. So if you have any questions or any comments that you would like to share with us, do remember you can comment in the comment section below if you are using your handphone, or you can click onto the pinned link also at the comment section, okay, and ask us any question regarding today's topic. Now, today's topic is living in space, okay? So we're going to talk about how is it like to be living in space. And in order to make it a little bit more interesting, we've brought along our tech guy from last week, Ferry. Okay, so not last week, last week, okay? So Ferry is going to be showing us how life will be on the International Space Station. Now, so can we get Ferry live? So can we get Ferry up?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Ferry here.
Hi, Ferry.
Hi.
Wow, Ferry, I see that you are in your spacesuit right now. So you are an astronaut today.
Yep.
Yep. So what's the goggles that you are wearing?
Okay, so what I'm wearing right now is called VR goggle, virtual reality. And using the magic of virtual reality, I'm actually going to show you how it's like to be an astronaut on board of the ISS. So ISS is the International Space Station.
Yay! So that's the exciting thing I've been telling you guys about. So if you have any comments or any question about living in space, anything you want to know more about space and the do keep your questions coming in the pinned link below or the comment section. Ferry is going to show us around, okay? Now, but before Ferry show us around, maybe we can ask Octave, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the International Space Station.
Okay, so this is the facts, the drier part of this, okay? So the International Space Station is actually a combined project by 5 different countries, okay? It's not just by NASA. And this space station has been in space since 1998. And since the year 2000, okay, astronauts have been living non-stop in this ISS, this International Space Station. So it is a pretty nice structure in space where humans get to live comfortably. I don't know if comfortably is the correct word. You probably have to ask Perry about that. But it's a place where humans get to live.
Yes, so it's where our astronauts go into space, right? Okay, so I see a lot of people coming. Wow, we have 90 viewers. That's so awesome. Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you for coming. Yeah, remember to keep the questions coming in. And actually, we do have a question which I'm going to ask Ferry later. But first up, Ferry, what is? Oh no! Before I ask Ferry to show us something, Maybao, can you tell us what is your daily routine on Earth?
My daily routine on Earth now that we are work from home, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so early in the morning, wake up, brush your teeth, bathe, and then eat breakfast, and then get ready for work. Wait. Before that, exercise.
Exercise. Oh, okay. You managed to squeeze in time to exercise. What about you, Octave? How do you keep fit?
Do I look fit in the first place?
We don't know. We can only see your face.
So, right. So, no exercises for me. I'm unfortunately a very lazy person.
Okay, but I'm sure you don't exercise, but you do your work, right?
Yes, of course, I have to do my work. If not, my bosses will be screaming at me.
Yeah, so this is a shout out to our bosses. We are working very, very hard. In fact, we are working very hard right now.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
So for Octave, his will be wake up, brush teeth, eat, work, eat, sleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sounds about right.
Yeah. Right. So we are going to go back to Ferry, okay? So, Ferry, can you show us what's the first thing an astronaut do in the day?
Yeah, if you're an astronaut on board of the ISS, obviously you will start your day by waking up first, right? So let me show you guys how the bedrooms of the astronaut looks like. So I'm going to make a move here. And those of you who are watching from home through your computer screen or through your phone, you might experience a little bit of motion sickness. If that happens to you, just look away for a few seconds or maybe close your eyes. In the meantime, I'll try to make the screen go smaller a little bit to mitigate the effect. So right over here, okay, in front of me, I have this white color boxes here. So they are not ordinary boxes. They are actually the bedrooms, okay, for the astronaut. So each astronaut has got one of this habitat module. And inside this, they actually get to sleep. So if they wake up to start their day, this is the starting point.
But I see the room on the rooftop there.
Yep.
Yep. So maybe Octave can tell us a little bit more about the environment in space.
Okay, so space is a really, really special place, right? In space, me and Yachin will probably weigh the same, right? Which is basically weightless. Okay, so what happens?
I cannot imagine that.
Well, you have to, okay? So what happens is, on Earth, when we sleep, it's really easy. You find a bed, you lie down, okay? Gravity keeps you on the ground or on the bed and you fall asleep. Really simple. But in space, there's a bigger problem because things, they don't fall, right? They are weightless. So what happens is, while you're trying to sleep in space, you will actually be floating around. So what's the biggest problem is to actually keep yourself stationary. So within these little bedrooms of their astronauts, okay, there's actually sleeping bags inside. The sleeping bag is not really to keep them warm, but to keep them tight, okay, to the side of the wall so that they don't float around and end up bumping into something in their sleep. Okay. Another difference between sleeping in space and sleeping on Earth is that the ISS is a pretty small place, so noise tends to get amplified. So what do is that they will wear earmuffs to actually give themselves a peaceful night or peaceful rest. Yep.
Oh, okay. So it seems like it's really tough sleeping in space because you just end up floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very comfortable
space.
also. It looks a bit like claustrophobic to me.
Yes, it is. And then your hair is standing all the time.
Yes.
That's one of the conditions to be an astronaut, right? You cannot be claustrophobic. You cannot have the fear of small spaces because you will be staying there for like 6 months.
Oh, but you know, in fact, we have one question from Mani. I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly. Okay, so Mani has this question: what do I need to study in poly or university if I want to pursue a career in astronomy? So, which poly or uni here offers the relevant course, and what are the potential employers? Maybe can Octave answer this question?
Okay, so by astronomy, I would assume that you're talking about being an astronaut. So in this case, okay, there's actually quite a lot of courses. Not all astronauts, they are actually scientists. Some of them are engineers, right? And all polytechnics actually offer engineering courses. And some of them even has more specialized courses like aerospace engineering. So those are the things that you might want to work towards, right? Another part of it is all your sciences, your physics, your chemistry, your biology. All of these will come in useful as well if you are really interested in being an astronaut.
Yeah. And also your health has to be on tip-top condition, right?
Yes, they will, all of these, they will run tests. So they have to see how your body adapts to high speed or how your body adapts to zero, what you call weightlessness and things like that.
Wow.
So there's some psychology tests and physical tests that you have to go through.
No wonder the four of us are science educators. We are not astronauts.
Yes, that's probably I will be able to fit inside the suit, probably. So yes, I'm glad to stay on Earth.
Yeah. Okay. So we also have somebody commenting on the Facebook page. Idina, I think is a lady. Okay. Now, can we see the interior of the bedroom?
Wow.
Ferry.
Okay, unfortunately, the simulation that I'm running right now doesn't allow me to actually see the interior, but I can actually toggle a video so that the video will appear. So inside the bedroom, okay, there's actually a little bit of space for the astronauts to keep their personal belonging. So over there on the left, that would be the sleeping bag for the astronauts. So that allows them to sleep securely without floating away. But then they also have laptops that they can use to call their family members who are on Earth. Of course, they probably have some equipments to entertain themselves also.
Ah, nice. So, okay, now we are done. I think we're almost done with the bedroom, right? So after sleeping, oh, okay. So what do astronauts do on the ISS?
Well, astronauts do a lot of things on board of the ISS actually.
Yep.
If you think about it, ISS is just this giant machine that's floating in space and people live in them, right? People being the astronauts. So this machine needs to be maintained frequently. Any damage will have to be repaired. Any equipment that is broken might need to be replaced. So those are some of the things that they do. Now, astronauts also conduct science experiments. Okay, again, I'm going to make a move here. If you experience any motion sickness, what you do is you look away or you just close your eyes for a few seconds. Otherwise, just stick with me here. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to a place where they can conduct science experiment.
Oh, okay. So while Ferry is moving, those of you who just joined us, thank you for coming. If you have any question for us, okay, about living in space, do click onto the link on and throw us any question about living in space. Okay, we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Okay, so Ferry, back to you.
Yep. So over here in front of me, okay, you see this glass box looking like thingy, right? So this is not an ordinary glass box. This is actually a fume hood. Okay, but this is a specialized fume hood because it has got two opening here. Okay, right now it's closed, but they can actually remove this covering here, and that actually allows the astronaut to put their hands through this opening with while they are also wearing a protective gear, so they can conduct science experiment like that.
Oh, so this is something like when we were in school, we were doing our experiment in the fume cupboard, right, Maybell?
Yeah, it looks like our fume hood. It's just that the whole thing is enclosed and it just has space for your hands to go in.
So, what are the experiments that can be done or has been done in space, Maybell?
Oh, actually, there are a lot of experiments that the astronauts are running in space, mostly to study more about whether humans can colonize space, what are the effects of weightlessness on different parts of our body and things like that. So some of the notable ones would be growing embryos in space. So they've managed to successfully grow, I think, about 6,000 mice embryos. So what they are trying to do is that they are trying to see whether reproduction is possible in a weightless environment. Does it have any side effects on the developing embryos and things like that, just in case one day we find a planet that's suitable and we want to colonize it. Yeah.
So they grow the embryos in space, but do they have rats in space?
Yes, I think they do also have some live animals, things like rats, chimpanzees, monkeys.
Really?
Some of the smaller mammals. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
And also plants, lots of plants and bacteria.
Plants.
Yeah.
And you know what? Speaking of plants, Jacob asked us a question. He's 6 years old. Hi, Jacob. Thank you for asking this question. What are plants that can be grown in space?
Oh, currently the scientists are growing a lot of food plants. So things like rice plants, bok choy, lettuce, potatoes. Yeah. So they're just trying to see whether these plants can survive in a weightless environment. Can they grow properly in a weightless environment? So one of the things that they managed to figure out was how to water the plants properly. Because normally when we are growing plants at home, what we do is that we take your plants in the soil, right? Then we just pour water downwards this way. Yeah. But how the water goes into the soil is by gravity. But in space, we hardly have any, right? It's called microgravity. So the water's not going to be, I think later on we can show that the water's not going to be like going downwards into the soil. It doesn't spread out properly, so the plant won't be able to absorb the water easily. So they use this like kind of like little pillows that is filled with something that's like clay, and the water gets distributed all around inside so that the roots of the plant can absorb the water easily.
Oh, nice. So if next time we really manage to go into space, into another planet, then we can potentially grow food for our consumption.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice. Okay, so now that we're done with the experiment, Ferry, after doing experiments, I know that astronauts need to exercise in space, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So do they have an exercise area where they have to do the exercises?
Well, yes. Let me bring you there.
Okay. Then
So
maybe
astronauts have access to different exercise machine on board of the ISS.
yeah.
So I'm going to show you a few here. Again, okay, if you experience any motion sickness, if you feel a little bit dizzy, just either look away or close your eyes for a few seconds. So this is the first exercise machine here. Okay, if you go to the gym, right, like the real gym, not Pokemon gym. Okay, you probably have seen this machine before, right? This is a stationary bike. So what they do is they get on this machine here and then basically they cycle. Okay, that is a good way to burn calorie and probably to build up your stamina, right?
Yeah.
But this is not all. Okay, they also have access to other exercise machine. Let me bring you to the place.
No, but here's the thing, Maple, why is it so important for astronauts to do exercise in space?
Oh, that's a good question. Because normally on Earth, when we are walking around, just doing our daily activities, right? We don't really consciously know it, but we are actually working out a lot of muscles that we have, like your neck, your back, your leg muscles. But we don't really take notice of that. So in space, and we work those muscles out because of gravity. We are trying to combat gravity every day. But in space, you have to really specifically work out those muscles. If not, they're going to shrink, and then you have smaller muscles. So when the astronauts go back to Earth, then it will be a problem for them to walk on Earth because their muscles are weaker now.
Oh, then you will become like
Yeah, I can't really walk properly. Yes.
okay. Right. So Perry, what is it that you are showing us right now?
Okay, so this is one of the machine that the astronaut can use to do exercise. You want to make a guess what machine this is?
Looks like a treadmill. Is it a treadmill?
Yeah, it is a treadmill.
It's not against the wall.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, in space, there is no up, down, left, right, right?
Ah, yes.
You can just kind of float around here. So yes, this is a treadmill, and if this is a treadmill, this would be the platform, okay, which the astronaut will be standing on, right? Because standing on is a term that we use here, right, on Earth, but it also applies there, right? And then this blue color bar here is where the astronaut can grab onto, okay, so that they don't float away. But then they will also secure themselves with additional protection, okay? So they will actually strap themselves down to the machine so that as they run, they don't float away. Then they can run safely.
Okay. So we have talked about cardio exercises, right? Then Octave, you talk about space being in a microgravity environment, right? How do astronauts do weights training?
Okay, so on Earth, let's say you go to the gym, it's really simple. You just simply add more weights, which obviously doesn't work in space, right? So what they do is they actually put rubber bands or what they call tensions, right, onto the machine that they are training on. So if you want more training, you just have to put more tension onto the machine or onto the weights that you are lifting. So instead of lifting weights, they're actually pulling rubber bands to train themselves in space.
Oh, okay. So they do resistance training using rubber bands.
But when Octave says rubber bands, it sounds like, the small normal rubber bands. I don't think it's those normal rubber bands.
Ah, those thick exercise bands.
Probably those you use for bungee jumping, probably.
Yep.
Wow, those are really, really tough rubber bands. Okay, so now that we are done with exercise. But you know what? Sometimes people like me are very, very clumsy. What if I run halfway and then I sprain my ankle or I hit my head against something? So where do I go if we're on ISS?
Well, if you're on ISS, okay, other astronauts will have to give you medical aid. So they'll probably be administering first aid to you, right? But what happens if the injury is pretty serious? What happens if astronauts collapse and maybe they stop breathing? So here on Earth, what we do is we administer this maneuver called CPR. Okay, but how do we do CPR if you are an astronaut on board of the ISS? Because things float, right?
Yeah.
So we've got this thing here. Okay, this looks like a surfboard, but this is actually a medical table. So this allows the astronaut who needs CPR to be strapped down securely while the other astronaut, okay, can conduct the CPR. And this is going to be a vertical CPR. So maybe Maypao can explain how CPR works.
Yeah, how CPR works on Earth.
Oh, okay. So normally CPR, we will put the person on a flat surface on the ground, right, face up, and then we just need to make sure that the heart keeps pumping so that the blood can go up to the brain, because if after a few minutes the brain will start to lose its function. So keeping the heart pumping, you just have to use your arms and your body weight to press down onto the person. But I guess using body weight in space is not going to be possible.
Yeah.
So not sure actually, how do they do it in space?
Well, this astronaut here is going to demonstrate it really, really soon. Okay. So what happens is that she will be using her leg muscle as well as her arm muscle. So she will be doing this vertical CPR.
Oh wow.
Oh, so she will use her legs to push herself down and the muscles from her arms to conduct CPR. Oh, okay,
to deliver
that's
the chest
interesting.
compression.
Ah, okay. Right. So, give me a moment. There are some questions coming in from Subra. So Subra asked, when the astronauts return back to Earth, will they be able to acclimatize immediately, or will it take a few months? Maybe people can answer this question, like their muscles and everything.
Probably take a few months to build up those muscles. I mean, when we go exercising in the gym or whatever it is, right? Muscles take a while to form. It's not like you run one day or you lift weights for one day and then your muscles suddenly become huge, right? So it will take a few months, yes, to get their bodies back into shape for them to live properly, normally back on Earth.
Yeah. Wow, so it seems like really tough to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know what? I think after everything that we have shown everyone, I do believe that it is time for Ferry and Octave's favorite time of the day, which is to eat.
Oh yeah,
food.
It is my favorite time of the day.
Yeah, I mean, and there are people who's been asking about food. Okay, so later, Ferry, when you are there, then we will answer these questions one by one. Okay, so Ferry, you can move to the pantry.
Yep.
Okay, for those of you who just joined us, do remember, if you have any questions, just click on the pinned link in the comment section. We will try to bring you to the different places of the ISS and hopefully to experience how is it like to be living in space. All right, so Ferry, back to you.
Yep. Okay, so astronauts actually eat the same food that we do here on Earth, except the food is in this special packaging. Okay, it looks like a squeeze bottle, like a toothpaste, if you will. Now, over here, I am at the pantry of the ISS. So as you can see here, okay, this is a container for coffee, milk cocoa. Well, this is black coffee. This is regular coffee, coffee with cream, energy bar, soup, water, tea, and sweet yogurt. So if an astronaut take out one of the content, okay, let's say he take out the pouch that contains coffee. Okay, how does it look like and how is he going to be able to enjoy the coffee? Let's watch this video here.
Okay.
Now, while we wait for this video, perhaps there's any question that is related to this. We can also answer it.
Yes, actually we do. There is this question. Is it true that astronauts' taste buds are affected in space? So maybe Maybao can help assist in this question.
Oh yeah, okay. So their taste buds are affected in space because normally when you're in space, all the fluids in your body tend to just float around, because normally when we're on Earth, the fluids will move downwards towards our feet and things like that, right? So because of gravity. So in space, your noses, your sinuses get clogged up by a lot of fluids, and that will affect how you smell and taste things. So yeah, the food there, the drinks there probably need to be stronger tasting for them to experience it like how they would experience it on Earth.
I see.
And astronauts like Chris Hadfield, for example, the Canadian astronaut, he personally prefers spicy food because of this lack of taste in space. Now, this was the food pouches that I was mentioning about.
Yeah.
Okay, so this food pouch here, okay, this is the coffee pouch, is attached to this machine that can dispense warm water, so that now it's actual coffee beverage, and then he can just enjoy it by using the straw attachment.
Okay. So, Ferry, when we are drinking in space, are there any restriction or things that they shouldn't be eating or drinking in space? I mean, even though you say they eat the same thing as us on Earth.
Okay. From what I know, astronauts are actually not allowed to drink alcohol on board of the ISS, and they also do not have access to boiling water for safety reason.
Yeah. So why no boiling water?
Okay, let me show you what happens if we, let's say, spill water on board of the ISS.
Yep.
So this is an experiment that one of the astronauts conducted. So here on Earth, if we spill maybe a little bit of water from our drinking cup, it just goes on the floor, it makes a mess, then you can wipe it and you are done. But on board of the ISS, you know, for the environment being weightless environment, the water will just kind of form this sphere here, and it just kind of float around until you break it apart or it hits something and it splashes around. So imagine this, okay? Let's say you are boiling water, okay, and then the machine malfunction. What do you think will happen to the boiling water? It will form this sphere of boiling water here, okay, float around, potentially harming the astronaut, or maybe even damaging the expensive electrical equipments, right? That's bad, right? So astronauts are not allowed to use boiling water. They only have access to warm water.
I see. Okay. And then even, what about crackers or things that are crumbly? Can they eat it in space?
Well, that's an excellent question right there. Okay, let me go to the food preparation table over here. So over here, okay, as you can see there is actually one pouch, okay, that is floating around. Okay, this is how the food pouch looks like, except usually it's silver in color. This one is white in color. Okay, and yes, astronauts actually do eat things like crackers or biscuits or bread, but they are special kind of biscuit or bread. Okay, astronauts, they don't eat bread or biscuit that is too crumbly, because again, the crumbs don't fall down to the ground. The crumbs actually float and maybe gets lodged between the panels, or maybe goes into the electrical equipments, which can then, you know, can be bad, can damage the equipment. So they have, for bread, for example, they have flat bread. It's not so crumbly. Here in Singapore, we have something similar. It's called roti prata. Whereas for biscuits, it's probably more like a shortbread, the English shortbread.
Oh, yes.
The thing that you dip into your tea. Yeah, and of course, you can also add like jam or some, I don't know what's that white thing. It's probably milk, because people do dip their biscuit in milk.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe there are nutritionists who also plan the astronauts' diet, right?
Yes, that's right. The nutritionists actually plan their diet like way beforehand. So even before the astronauts in space, like few months before, they will plan out their diet, because they still need to get like the same amount of calories as they would on Earth. So they'll plan out their 6 months worth of diet and then prepare everything. And let them do a taste test, let the astronauts do a taste test, and if they're okay with it, then they will send all this food up into the space shuttle.
Oh, nice. So, okay, we have some people who are asking this question. They are talking about human waste. What do they do with human waste? Which is exactly where we are going to bring everyone to right now, okay? Right, Perry? So are we going to bring everyone to do their business?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're
This is
talking
very
about big
important.
business and small business, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So I'm going to make a movement here. Again, if you feel dizzy, just look away for a few seconds or just close your eyes. In the meantime, I'll make the screen smaller and make it a little bit dimmer. Okay. So that you don't get too much motion sickness.
So as Ferry is moving around, thank you everyone for tuning in to our podcast. If you have any questions, do click on the link in the comment section and type away. We will answer your questions one by one, okay? So do keep it coming. Right, so now Ferry is in the toilet in the International Space Station. So maybe Octave can explain to us what are all these things inside the toilet.
Okay, so this is the toilet. Now, on Earth, both our big business and our small business goes the same place, right? But that is actually not the case in the ISS. So what you are looking at now, okay, the little potty over there, okay, the one that Perry is pointing at, okay, so that is where they do their big business. Okay, it's similar to what we have on Earth, just that the opening is smaller because they really can't risk the fecal matter floating upwards or out around the ISS. And also there's actually fans that produce a current that kind of sucks the fecal matter downwards, so it doesn't cause a hazard to whoever that is using the toilet, right?
No,
so that's
wait.
how they do their... Yes?
Okay, then that means when they sit on that potty, they will feel this suction on their bum bum.
a breeze, not really, suction. You don't really need a lot of force to move things in space because you don't have you don't have weight, right? So just a little bit of suction will do. It's not going to be
Yeah, Yahtzee, I would imagine you need some suction. If not, I think the big business could be stuck on your bum.
Yeah, I know, right?
And also
I
the
know.
benefit outweighs the discomfort, right? Because otherwise, the fecal matter will just float and scare the other astronaut.
We don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also there
And
is these two things here. Octave want to tell
oh yeah.
Oh,
the people
oh yeah,
watching.
the pipes, the pipes.
Oh, these two things here.
The
So those
pedals.
things,
Oh, the
right? So
pedals.
the astronauts are weightless. How do they keep themselves on the toilet bowl? Well, they strap their feet to the ground. Okay, so
Oh,
that's how they keep themselves from floating away while they are doing their business. And okay, so that's for their big business. What about their small business? Okay, so on the right hand side, you can see that there's this pipe, right? And at the end of the pipe, there's this yellow cone. Okay, so the yellow cone thingy actually, that's where they do their small business. Okay, and each astronaut have their own little yellow cone so that they don't share with each other out of hygiene concerns, right? And in case you're wondering what happens to all this waste that they are producing,
Yep.
okay, the solid waste and the liquid waste goes to different places. So the
Oh,
solid
okay.
waste, okay, actually gets collected, okay, and then gets ejected out of the ISS towards the Earth.
Wait, so we eject our human feces into space?
Yes. Or we don't do that, the
Wow.
astronauts do that.
No,
right?
no, no, wait.
Oh.
So if it gets ejected into space, I'm not assuming it's going to just be floating around. So then when we go to space, then we see a lot of like little piles of.
Don't worry, they won't do that. Okay, so what happens is they will sit slightly towards the Earth so that as the waste enters the Earth's atmosphere, okay, it actually burns out. So sometimes in the sky you see shooting stars, right? I'm sorry to inform you, they might not be shooting stars. They might actually be the waste of the astronauts on ISS burning up in our atmosphere.
People always say, I wish upon a shooting star. So maybe sometimes we might be
Wishing
looking at
upon
yeah.
burning big business.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right.
No wonder our
Okay.
wishes don't come true all the time.
It's just wishing on the
Depends
wrong
on
thing.
the wishing on. Right, and as for your liquid waste, okay, that's the part where it gets a little special, right? So the liquid waste actually gets filtered, and 90% of it actually goes back into the drinking water of the astronaut.
Oh.
So if you imagine, it's a little bit like the new water that we have, just that this comes directly from the astronaut's urine.
Right. So they're drinking their urine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Purified water that
Purified
is from the urine.
So I understand that the air in the ISS is also from the recycled water. I mean, from the recycled urine.
Yes. So humans, we require oxygen to stay alive, right? So how is oxygen actually being produced in the International Space Station? They actually break up water into hydrogen and oxygen. So that's where they actually get their breathing air from.
Nice.
So water is a very, very important resource on the ISS.
Yeah. Okay, wait, we have one more question from Norman. Hi, Norman. Okay, he say he's just wondering if there is a certain height limit for astronauts, because otherwise if your legs too short, like me, very short, you can't strap your legs onto the pedals to use the bathroom.
Okay, so there is actually a height restriction for you to become an astronaut. You cannot be too tall or too short. So you need to be of a certain height to become an astronaut. So yes, there is a height limit.
Okay, so now that we're done with the toilet, okay, I don't think there is any more questions on toilet. Okay, right, okay, yeah. But we have a question. Okay, so somebody asked, what do astronauts at ISS communicate with their family on Earth? So just now Ferry mentioned, now in their small little bed chamber, they have laptops and everything where they can call their family from space. Now, in fact, there is Wi-Fi on the ISS, and the astronauts used to write letters or send messages to their friends and family, but now they are able to call back to Earth. So that's the power of technology. Yay! Okay, so now that we've answered some of these questions, I think, you know what, Ferry, maybe it's time to show them how the ISS looks like from the outside.
Wow, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I actually go outside, okay, I want to show you guys something here. Okay, real astronauts on board of the ISS, before they do EVA, okay, that is extravehicular activity, or also known as spacewalk, okay, they will obviously have to put on protection, right? And this protection comes in the form of spacesuit. Yeah, so this is how the spacesuit looks like, okay? It actually contains everything that they need, okay? That is all the air that they need to survive, all the air that they need to breathe. Okay, of course, it also contains a little bit of water for them to drink. And some missions can actually last, quite long, can last up to 7 hours, I think. So it will probably have some space diaper in it as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Now, what happens? Maybe Octave, you can help us answer this question. What happens if we go into space and we don't wear the spacesuit? Will we explode or?
This just got gruesome all of a sudden. All right, so in space, what happens? Right, a few things can happen at once. So if let's say you're in space and you're facing the sun, okay, temperature actually goes up to 250 degrees. And the part that is not facing the sun, temperature goes down to negative 250 degrees, right? And also because, as you know, space is a vacuum, so what happens is your saliva and your body fluid will actually start to boil. So you will be burning, freezing, and boiling at the same time if you're exposed to the empty space without a suit. Okay, in short, you die.
Okay, so
that's summarize into you die.
Yeah, I mean, just wondering how it would be like without the spacesuit. Okay, so spacesuit is very, very important. Okay, so now Ferry is out of the International Space Station. I'm just curious, how big, let's say, is our room compared to the International Space Station? Octave?
Okay, so if you think of a soccer field, right, divide that into 30 parts, that's about how big the moving space or the living space is within an International Space Station.
Okay, that's quite small.
It's very small. Yes, and you have 3 people living there as buddies for up to 6 months or more, right, depending on what your mission is in space.
Oh, okay. So the duration in which the astronauts live in space will be 6 months.
Usually it's about 6 months. There have been astronauts going back for return trips, up to 3. I think the record now is 3 trips into the International Space Station.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So, what are these things that we are looking at right now?
Okay. So these, I don't know what you call them, the yellowish looking thing, right? Those are actually the solar panels on the International Space Station. Okay. The International Space Station, they don't have a power plant to produce electricity for them. So the only way they can get electricity is actually through using solar panels, using solar energy, right? And this part that you're looking at, right, you might find that the color is a little different from the solar panels we have on Earth because they're actually made up of different materials. Say on Earth, we usually use what we call semiconductors, whereas in the solar panels on the International Space Station, okay, there's actually gold. It's actually made up of gold. Why is that so? Because gold conducts electricity much better as compared to your semiconductors. Okay, and if these solar panels fail, okay, your whole ISS is going to run out of electricity, your life support system inside, and everything, okay, will stop. So these solar panels are the lifeline of astronauts within the ISS itself.
Wow, okay. So when astronauts do their EVA outside of the ISS, so Ferry, would you like to show us what kind of repair works do they do?
Well, yes. So mostly they do maintenance work, okay? But sometimes part of your space station gets hit by space debris, okay, or space junk, if you will. So I'll bring you to one place over here, okay? I don't know if you can see it right now, but there is actually a white color panel right in front of me. Octave, maybe you want to tell the audience what they are?
Okay, so these white color panels that you're looking at, those are actually radiators, right? Their purpose is actually to dissipate the heat that is produced inside the International Space Station. So you have a lot of machineries inside, you have astronauts inside. All of these produces heat. So these radiators actually helps to dissipate the heat off into space to keep the ISS itself cool.
Yeah, so this panel right here, okay, as you can see, it's damaged, right? So this was hit by space debris. So if this happens, okay, the astronaut actually need to put on their spacesuit. do EVA, okay, get themselves tethered, okay, so that they don't float away into space, and they probably perform repair here. But of course, if it's bad enough, they probably don't bother repairing it. They'll probably just replace it.
Oh, okay. So, how do they bring in all these parts and drinking water and everything into space? Can maybe let us know how they bring up all these things?
Bring it up into space. Oh,
Yeah, all the
probably need
supplies.
to have a space shuttle that they launch from the Earth with all the supplies that they need. I think they do that every few months or so, like resupply missions to give them more water, more parts, whatever that they need. And I think there's something on the space station that helps to kind of like grab onto it, right, Harry?
Yep, that's right. So last time we have space shuttle, okay, that belongs to NASA, okay, the US. But now we don't do that anymore because space shuttle mission has been retired. So now any delivery, whether it's astronaut, whether it's cargo, is actually done via this Soyuz spacecraft. So Soyuz is the name of the spacecraft. So all the astronauts, when they want to go on board of the Soyuz spacecraft, they actually need to go to Baikonur Cosmodrome. I think it's located in Kazakhstan.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
to answer Maypau's question, okay, yes, astronauts do have special devices that they can use to capture this incoming spacecraft, if you will. Okay, and this one here has a pretty interesting name. Okay, I'm getting closer to it. I don't know whether you can read the letter then.
No.
Okay, this is actually called Canadarm. Okay,
Canadarm.
Canadarm. So
Oh,
it's one word, okay, that is created from two words, Canada and arm. Canadarm.
oh, nice. So, maybe Octave, can you explain a little bit more about why it is called Canadarm?
Well, so if you remember what I said at the start, right? The ISS itself is not just by NASA, it's by 5 different space agencies in 5 different countries. So it turns out Canada is one of them, and they actually contributed this part of the ISS, right? The arm. So when they get to name it, they actually just combine, like what Ferry say, combine the word Canada with the word arm to get this same Canada.
I see. So now, Ferry is back in the International Space Station again, and is Ferry going to try to play with the Canadarm and show us how it is? Okay, right.
That's my plan. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what do we use the Canadarm for? I mean, to capture the puzzles or anything that is floating around outside the space station?
Well, they do that. Okay, they do that. But right now, what I'm going to show you guys is how it looks like operating a Canadarm using this console here that is located in the cupola module. So if you ask any astronaut that has ever been to the ISS, they'll tell you that the cupola module is their favorite part because as you can see here, if I look up, I actually have a clear view of the Earth that is, well, below me. If you think that I'm upside down, okay, it has got like windows. So I almost get well, half of 30-degree view. Okay. So what I'm looking at right now is like that is Canadarm right there. Okay. I can control the Canadarm using these two controllers here. So this would actually control the translational movement, and this stick here controls the rotational movement. Okay. I have two monitors, okay, that will help me control Canadarm. Okay. This one right here is showing you the tip of the arm. Okay, the point of view from the tip of the arm. This one is the side view. And this one right here is the other side view. So my mission here is to actually capture that spacecraft right there using the Canadarm. So let me try this, okay? In the meantime, maybe you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, let me take a look at the comment section. Actually, we don't really have a lot of questions. I think we already covered almost everything that everyone asked. Okay, wait. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I think we covered almost everything, and there are also people like Samri and Milk. Hi. They were saying that it's very informative, interesting, and they really thank us for sharing this. Now, in fact, for those of you who are watching this, it's not just the 4 of us on screen. In fact, this is a teamwork. The team actually worked for 2 weeks to come up with the content. And also we have background hero who is not in the video today, not in the podcast. We have Jihang. He is our tech guy this week. He's new on the job, so please give him some support by giving him a shout out. And then we have Kang Hui and Li Fei, who are also helping us to answer some of the questions that you post on the Google page. Yep, so they are answering the questions so that we can read it out through the podcast, because sometimes when we are doing this, our mind gets very blank. And just now we were just saying that every time before we start this podcast, we will feel very stressful. And then we're talking about how we manage our stress before we start the podcast. Okay. Yep. And we also have Yong, who is also answering some of the questions on the comments page. Right. And also Ming Hui. Yes. So this is a big project, you know. It seems like a very small podcast and just an hour long, 45 minutes long, but it's really a lot of teamwork coming together. All right, so thank you everyone. Thank you to the whole observatory team. Thank you everyone. Okay, so that being said, I think the questions. There are no many questions left. In fact, there are no questions left. I think we covered everything. So, Ferry, are you done toggling with your Canadarm?
Yep, I'm done.
Oh, okay. Right. I don't know how many people actually watched this because I was just talking and talking.
I think he was successful in trying to capture it, right?
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
I can try though.
Have some faith in our astronaut. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, because Ferry also tried this multiple times to get it to work. Right. Okay, so we'll see if we have any more questions coming in. We'll just wait for a short while. If there are no questions, I think we had a fruitful time today, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think we really had a fruitful time today. Like I mentioned, this is a great teamwork. We put out this podcast for you. We really do hope that you guys enjoy this. We're going to wrap up today's podcast session. Now we're going to come back again 2 weeks later with another new topic. And 2 weeks later, our topic will be on asteroids and beyond. So think about what kind of questions you want to ask. Then for the next podcast session, we do hope that we can see you guys again. Now, also before we sign off, just a shout out, this group of youngsters are also going to be doing their podcast tonight at 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. They are from Say Yes, okay? If you can type SAYES on Facebook, you'll be able to find their Facebook page, and they will show you the night sky, and then they will talk a little bit more about astronomy as well, okay? Now, so from the Science Centre Singapore, okay, next week we also have the live streaming of the night sky. And then our team will also be back again to show you what you can see in the night sky next week. Okay, so if there's no further question, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay home, stay safe, and keep looking up. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.